My name is Christina Winters-Gears, and who I am is a integrated financial planner. And what that means is I look at the person's whole life rather than just managing their money. What are their personalities, what their families need, and especially women who are going through transition, either through death or divorce, or moving from corporate into entrepreneurship. That's my specialty. And how I got here was very convoluted. I left Cleveland, Ohio, trying to get away from everybody. Went to California and didn't really know what I was going to be doing. Had nowhere to particularly be. And how it evolved was I took a course at UCLA on how to control your health with your mind. And they intimated that at that course that you could do your whole life like this. So I started taking more courses and realized that I could just change everything if I just changed my thoughts, because I had been brought up in a very European family, and I was supposed to be a mom, and never went to college, and I just didn't want to do that. So with that in mind, I had no training in anything, so the idea of being able to sculpt my own future just by sculpting my thoughts was a pretty critical opportunity for me. And then here I am. A doctor and a psychiatrist from UCLA, and then they had Louise Hay there. And she's written a lot of books about the whole aspect of creating your well-being through having well thoughts. And in fact, I still have the little excerpt from her book where you look up the problem that you're having physically and what the thoughts are that have caused it, or the state of your life that has caused this. And I had cancer also further on in my life. In 1988, I was diagnosed with cervical cancer. And because of all this past, it was 1979 when I actually took the EST training, which was in line with that whole, you can create your life because whatever happened just happened. So with all of that training and experience, by the time I was diagnosed with cancer in '88, I felt totally equipped to address this in a totally different way, which I did. I utilized a counselor, a nutritionist, and changed my diet completely. Went through a vitamin C program that addressed the imbalance in my body, and was cured. Never had chemotherapy or an operation, and that was in '88. So it was now it's more prevalent. People are talking more and more about diet and mental attitude, and one of the big turning points in my life, which having cancer really allowed me to see, was I wasn't really incorporating my feminine side into my business, because I had just been promoted to VP at the time in October of 87, and I was so focused on my career, I didn't pay attention to what I needed as a woman. I had been trained by men growing up in the 80s in finance. Of course, it was all male. We did not have any female role models, very few. And if there were some, they were just trying to survive themselves. So because I had been trained by men, I wasn't really incorporating the feminine side of my personality and learning to lead from the feminine. And that really, having cancer made me address it, because in the counseling that I took, that's the first thing she said to me: cancer is a despairing disease. So what are you despairing about? And I said, nothing. I just got promoted. I just moved to Texas from LA. I bought this big house, and my life is on fire right now. And she goes, maybe, you know, so where is the cancer? And I said, it's cervical. She goes, feminine. So why are you despairing about being female? Well, I just burst into tears, and she went, bingo. So then I had to address, what was I trying to get rid of? I was trying to devoid myself of everything feminine because it didn't support me in my career, I thought. But it really did, because then I started shifting, and within 2.5 years, they sold the firm to another really major financial firm, which I did not want to work with. And so I just started my own company in 1990, and I really got an opportunity to start leading from the feminine, because there was no big brother standing over me telling me how I needed to run things, you know. You mean from the feminine, from the male leadership to the female leadership? I think it is in the approach. Men approach, and neither way is wrong, but men lead from the push. It's a pushing and a drive, a driving. Women lead from the embrace, and that allows people to grow and express. And I think both of them are critical. For example, a completely matriarchal society is just as ludicrous as a patriarchal society. We need balance. And having that balance really supports everything. And it's been proven that having 40% female in your leadership structure creates a very incredible rise in the bottom line. And because it unleashes potential. It doesn't frighten. And especially with women. Women frighten easy. No, ladies, don't get all up in an uproar there. I mean, it is generally what happens. A woman will back off much quicker than a man will in various situations. So we as women need to learn how to do that and how not to back off. And fortunately, that's what I learned in the 80s with the male leadership. They taught me to, you know, drive and push and mow down people, you know, and it doesn't sound very good, and it didn't feel very good for me as a woman, and I don't really think it feels good for men either. It is exciting. Success is very exciting, and I think the female approach, when you're a woman, you really have to allow that feminine energy through. Otherwise, you're going to get frustrated and you aren't going to be happy. The main thing was I was very giving in my business. I started doing free workshops for people on personal growth in the environment that I was working with. I was volunteering in the schools. The company that I worked for previously focused on financial planning for educators. So I was in the school environment and I started doing things like that. I started donating a lot of money. I donated my time. I was teaching a class for a little further on in my career. I started a class called Straight Talk, and I did it in the middle schools. And supported young girls that were at risk, that had been put back 1 or 2 years already, and really worked to have them understand that the environment that they're creating in their life right now in school, these are the ramifications, and this is what's going to happen when you go out into the business world. This is the parallel results that you're going to get. If you act out in school and you don't come to school, you get expelled. Well, if you act out at work and don't come to work, you get fired. Don't let people define you. Don't let, and this isn't easy because it starts really young and it's insidious. It comes on you without you even realizing it, because people that love you, in trying to protect you or shield you, will hold you back, will tell you don't do that, or don't do this, or be careful, or out of their own frustration will say things like, you're never going to amount to anything, which I was told always when I was growing up. And it wasn't because people didn't love me. They thought if they threatened me that I wouldn't be anything, that I was going to be something. But what they didn't realize was telling me I was never going to be anything kind of held me back. Now, luckily, I was real rebellious, which is what caused them to tell me I was never going to be anything. Okay, so it was like, a push-pull. And then I found myself in LA with a ship without a rudder at 30 years old going, well, I guess I'm not going to be anything, until I took that course. So you can do whatever you want to do. I don't care what your circumstances are. I don't care what your past has been. All of those things, yes, did happen to you. But the story you made up about it is what created the feelings that you have, and those feelings make you take actions that then drive the results. So if you don't like your results, you have to go back and rethink. Make up a new story. And if you make up a new story that is crafted specifically to get you to where you want to go, then it will happen. And, people say, well, okay, it's real easy for you to talk, you're so successful. Well, I wasn't successful. I'm a factory worker's daughter who was brought up to be a housewife with no college education and was told I was never going to be anything. So here I am. And I'm committed to support other women in becoming all that they want to be, so that we can really generate a world that is peaceful. Oh God, in the beginning it was men. My manager, Harvey Haber, then the president of our company, Phil Mortimer, he championed me. When you're growing up in the 80s and it's all men, he believed in me. He toughened me up. He didn't cut any corners. He got me to where I was. And then, of course, Louise Hay with my health. And now women, Sheryl Sandberg, I've read her book 3 or 4 times. Because we all, and that's another thing, those thoughts about being insecure and not enough and all of that, it doesn't stop. And that's one of the things that I think that holds women back, is that we think we're gonna get to a point and everything's gonna be perfect. No. Business is nothing but problem, crisis. Problem, 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 crisis. It's the dance of life. It's never going to be perfect. It's never going to be calm. And if you realize that, you realize that who you are is a problem solver. And when you realize that, and I tell the women in my firm all the time, whatever you think your job description is, that's the underlying details. The main job description is you're a problem solver. You solve problems for people, you solve problems for yourself, you solve problems for your coworkers. That's your job. And when you realize that, you're going to succeed easily. Collaboration, inclusiveness, peace. Finance is in your head. Your circumstances have nothing to do with your ability to become financially secure. People come to me that make $300,000, $400,000 and they're in the same straits as someone coming to me that makes $70,000 or $60,000 because it's a mental attitude about money. They say, oh God, in the last 3 years that I've been with you, things have really changed. Well, the reason that they have changed is because we're focusing. Whatever you focus on expands, and that works in every aspect of your life. And finance is critical. Because I was brought up poor, I was always told that, rich people can't get into heaven. I mean, we were Catholic when I was growing up, and that's what I was taught. And it's an aspect that the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. Well, why? Because the poor expect to remain poor because they don't see any opportunity. And I'm saying that that's not right. And the reason rich get richer is because they expect it. And they have the mindset to have it happen. So your mindset is creates everything, not just your health or your business, but your finances also. She helped a lot of women. That would be the best. That dash from here to here, they, on your grave, they put the year you were born, the year you died, and then they have this little dash when that's the whole expanse of your life, So I want my dash to show that she created the possibility for women to step into positions of power to create world peace. That would be awesome. Just to reiterate again that you've already asked me, and I'm just going to take this opportunity to say it again, that women are needed at every level of leadership. In the household, in the community, in politics, especially in politics. We need 40% in our House, in our Senate, in Congress, in positions of power all over the world to balance the testosterone on the planet. Men are wonderful. I love men. They're exciting and a lot of fun. And we have to be present at the table. You have to, one of the things that I was taught in the 80s by men, if you aren't sitting at the table, you're getting eaten. So you have to sit at the table or you're the plate. So ladies, let's sit at every table that is given to us.